let's also allow you to know who else is carrying this program live, because we've got partner media houses that are definitely carrying this program live. We are live on Isunga Radio in Senga Hill in Northern Province on 88.3. We are live also on Tuta FM in Mansa, covering Rapula Province on 90.7 FM, ZFM in Kapiri on 100.3, Spice FM in Kabwe and Central Province on 91.1, Platinum Radio in Indola on 99.7. We are also live on Katete FM in Katete, literally covering the rest of Eastern Province on 103.3, and live on BMTV. That's on Top Star Channel 114. Remember, BMTV is also live on their Facebook page. We are also live on our Facebook page as 5FM Radio Zambia. Like that page, leave us a comment. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And I'm your host, Dolika Banda. Now, our guest today, we are privileged to host Miss Dolika Banda. She is a member of the Movement for National Renewal. Ma'am, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Zachariah. Thank you.
I will ask that you come closer to your mic, sure, just so that you are audible enough. And happy Women's Month, and hope you celebrated your Women's Day well.
Yes, I did. Lots of introspection, lots of gratitude,
right,
lots of thinking back, and would like to wish all the women listening in happy Women's Day, and all the men listening in happy Women's Day for supporting the women that you are supporting.
Thank you. How do you interpret this year's theme, though?
Look, I always worry when we categorize major issues into a particular day or a particular month.
Right.
Of course, it's important that we recognize that the equalities are still not where they are supposed to be, so there remain inequalities that are gender-based, amongst other prejudices. But mine is that we should be celebrating Women's Day every day of our lives. Women form 52% of the population of this country. And therefore, if we don't recognize them for what they are every day, 24/7, we are actually missing out on the opportunity of 52% of talent, 52% of assets, 52% of investments, 52% of influence, which therefore means for this country, half of the capacity that we'd be leveraging, we are actually not leveraging. Having said that, I like that we are raising the issues, and that the theme changes every year because the challenge continues to upgrade. I also like that we are consciously trying to make sure that the equalities exist, not for the individuals, but for the good of all of us as a country.
Thank you very much for that. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the MNR, first of all, for achieving your goal. It may not have been achieved at the right time that you wanted to, but eventually 1 million members, 1 million plus now,
1 million plus.
Members. What's your voice to that?
Jubilation, celebration, gratitude, hope, bold hope for this country. You're right, we didn't achieve it. You used the word the right time. I think the right time is when it happens.
That's right.
We didn't give up. In December, we were woefully far from our target. I actually remember sitting next to somebody at a meeting in December who said, "Where are you with the numbers?" And I said, "Not where we would like to be, but we are still working on it." And the answer to that response from me was, if you're Fiabasungu with you, not in Zambia, kanongani ku England nango ku America. So when we reached 500,000, I was already doing my jubilation dance. When we exceeded 1 million, I can tell you we didn't sleep. When we exceeded that million, for me, it was a sense of Zambia and Zambians are ready for a different conversation, for a different dialogue. And that's what the Movement for National Renewal is about. It is about us as a people taking stock of where we are.
And now I do understand that the next step for you as a movement is to register the movement as a political party.
That's correct.
How is that so far going?
So far, so good. People always tell us time is not on our side, but we were told time was not on our side when we were at 10,000, when we were at 0 members. Time was on our side when we exceeded the million. So we know what the timeline is. Legislative-wise, we have been informed. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has put its targets out there and its dates and its deadlines, and we are working to those deadlines. So it means sleepless nights, long days, but we are definitely working to make that happen.
You do also understand that it can be a tall order to just have a party registered.
It shouldn't be.
Unfortunately,
it can be, but it shouldn't be. If we follow the rules, if we follow the law in this country of registering a party, it is a society, right? It's not even a company. If PACRA can register a financial investment company in 48 hours, provided your documentation is in order, surely why can't we register a society?
1 million could be very threatening numbers when it comes to the party in government, all right, headed into an election, and they hear 1 million have committed to an upcoming party like yours. Do you think that you will have it easy to navigate through registration?
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. When you are aiming, classic example, when you were doing your grade 7, Zachariah, when you were going for Form 5, when you were studying for your journalism reporting, did anybody tell you it was going to be easy? Did you ever feel it was easy as you were going through that process? No. So nothing that is worth what you dream about, what you believe in, what you aspire for comes easy. So if there will be difficult phases, we will have to go through those. Even as I studied for my MBA, there were certain courses that some people fail. They don't give up because they failed that one class.
Right.
They continue, they rewrite it until they get that MBA. So difficulties, of course, you may expect difficulties, but we live in a democracy. We have proven 7 times over that we live in a country that believes in the laws and the principles of democracy, and that power can transition when it is the right time, as you said. So our focus should not be on whether it will be made difficult or not. Our focus should be, what is it that we're going to do for the country? Even together with existing other political parties. It's not a single party that is going to improve this country.
Right.
So we remain open, we remain confident.
How do you plan to establish party structures across the country? And what are the timelines like of the process?
Look, that's a really interesting question because we get it all the time. Okay. Simple answer is, of those million plus, they represent every single province in this country already. When people are signing up on MNR, they are asked to indicate whether they want to be a passive member, they want to be an organizer, they want to be an active member, they want to be a donor, all of the different structures that will naturally transform into positions of leadership. So we have women, we ask, are you interested in this and that? And in those who are leading and organizing, as we meet them, we are also assessing, is this person likely to be popular, and I use popular in quotation marks, but good enough and deserving enough to lead this particular constituency or this particular province. So already as part of the enlisting process, we are considering who could fit certain positions.
We are reliably informed that there are no titles attached to individuals or that belong to the movement. Why so?
You're asking me all the right questions this morning. I know it's going to get tougher later on, but Zachariah, how many of us get caught up in titles? And how disorienting can that be from the job? So you want to be not called a driver, you want to be called a transport officer. So it's about the title. And that title takes you away from the fundamentals. You're right. There are no titles in this. This was a deliberate conversation that State Council and I had when I joined him in this leadership bandwagon of MNR.
Right.
That deliberately, our conversation is not going to be around titles. Our conversation is going to be, what is our goal? What is our mission? What is our vision for this country? When we've established that, then naturally we'll follow. And we're getting to know each other. We know each other's comparative strengths.
Right.
Naturally, it'll fall out from the people who is to hold what position.
John Sangwa, State Council, mentioned that developing a People's Manifesto will have to take a different approach, from what others have, how others have done it. But then, in your case, as MNR, how will this manifesto address key issues like economic growth, job creation, and social welfare?
I think and we deliberately are calling it a People's Manifesto because we want to turn the pin on its head, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
In the sense that our primary line of vision is how do we develop a Zambia that is going to work for the Zambian people? And in order to do that, you have to listen to the people. Right. We have our ideas at the top level, what the global issues are, what the national issues are in relation to the global. So we know agriculture is important to Zambia. We know mining is important to Zambia. We know tourism is important to Zambia. But that is not important and relevant in every province in this country or every district in this country. So ours is to say, what do the people need? Before we come down with our University of Zambia, with no disrespect, Harvard perspective of what the Zambian people need, let's talk to the people. So you would have heard State Council talk about the experience that we've had in Mongo, for example.
Yeah.
What we think is the problem is actually not the problem. Not only do we not identify the problem accurately as people on the ground would, they also have the beginnings of the solution. And so to listen province by province, district by district, and that's what we're doing. That's why I go back to the fact that MNR is now in all 10 provinces. Some stronger than others, but we are in all 10 provinces. And what we are hearing, we're going out, we're meeting people, is these are our issues. I was in Malambo, Mfoe area, and I was talking about the energy crisis. And the people said to me, yes, it would be nice to have electricity, but actually our primary problem is that we are unable to grow food because the elephants come and they destroy the food. So we ended up talking about, for example, hydroponics, container gardening, using these trading containers to do that. So we have to listen to the people because the people of this country are our shareholders. We started this game almost thinking in a corporate way. How can you, because Zambia, if it was a corporation, quite frankly, would have liquidated. It would have been liquidated by now. And it would not have been an orderly liquidation for the accountants out there. Yeah. But it's a country that is made up of people. So the question then is, how do we address the issues prevailing, but starting with the people themselves? It's like a doctor. You move into the doctor's office and then he looks at you and says, I think you've got malaria. He's got to talk to you first. You may not have malaria.
Indeed, to sum it up, in as far as the MNR is concerned and how you're approaching politics, we are safe to say you've changed the narrative of politics. But the question is it sustainable?
I think some people think State Council and I are smoking something. And for those who think that, I can tell you whatever it is that we're smoking is great. Because when over 1 million people say we want renewal, when over 1 million people say we want clear, transparent accountability, opportunity, we don't accept the state of this country now because we dream that it can be better. When over 1 million people say our democracy needs to be funded by us, they are subscribing to all of this. 1 million people to me is sustainable. That is sustainable. And for anybody who thinks it's not sustainable, I've been ridiculed. There are naysayers out there. But you tell me who has galvanized over a million Zambians in 5 months over a message that is an emotional message, a message that is about dreams for this country, dreams for the next 3 generations, dreams for the ordinary Zambian to be able to say, I own a piece of this country, and I can see, I can feel, I can account that I own a piece of this country. What more sustainability do you want? We are only growing, by the way.
Yeah.
For those MNR people who are listening, just bring us one more person each. That will take us to 2 million. Just one more person. So today I'm signing you on if you're not already signed on. So I'm adding to that million. We already have 1 million. If each of that million brings 1 or 2, we are between 2 and 3 million people. The voting community in this country is about 6.5, 6.8 million. Yeah. So you have a voice right there. For those who are not MNR, please be objective. Please be objective. Please be open-minded. Please be ambitious. Please embrace innovation about the way we look at what we can do and what we can be as a country.
1 million plus could just be a number, Mom. But I'm sure you have statistics on your fingertips in terms of the demographic. What is the mix like?
Yeah. We will share those statistics, but yes, one of the things we have, and that is why, quite frankly, I used the word innovation just a minute ago.
Right.
Having that data on a platform that is a digital platform means you can calibrate those numbers any way you wish. We have calibrated them and we will share them. And they do represent 10 provinces in this country. They do represent the diversity, including gender, of this country.
Let's move to national issues, economic issues. And I would like us to get straight into the fact that Kwacha performance versus cost of living. I mean, the Kwacha is performing well against major currencies, but the cost of living remains high. How do you explain the discrepancy, and what policies would MNR in this case implement to address this?
So we are, let me answer the last part of your question first, then I can delve into some ideas that we're going through. We are currently working on manifesto. As we said, it is going to be ground up. People are the base and people are the pillar of that manifesto. We have enough to build it. So people saying, oh, you're just doing your manifesto now. No. We've been building data to feed into that manifesto based on our visits, based on comments that we get from the different participants who have joined MNR and those even who haven't, just vested Zambians who you listen to with an open mind about what the issues could be. You mentioned the currency and you mentioned the cost of living. Those are symptoms of the problem. And I think we spend too much time focused on the symptoms rather than looking at the underlying problem. The cost of living, exchange rate will cascade from a strong economy, a focused economy, an economy that is driven by the people of Zambia for the people of Zambia, with everybody else as a friend and a partner. But it must be owned by us. So exchange rate is not in our control. It's not something that we can say because Zambia has done X, the exchange rate has come to X. Exchange rate is driven by, our exchange rate is driven by the powers that be. It's the dollar. The dollar has weakened. The pound and so on have weakened. So that also influences. So we need to be able to calibrate how much of the buffer of our exchange rate has actually come from internal productivity and what has contributed from external dynamics over which we have no control. Cost of living. Again, we have no control because we are largely an import-driven country. So whilst you say the exchange rate has appreciated, but the cost of living has not changed, that in itself will tell you that we are not in control of those dynamics. What are we in control of? And I can't speak about the full economy, but I can speak about the principles. And this is not all of them, but for purposes of time.
Right.
Economic justice. We deal with economic justice in this country, fair taxation, strengthened institutions, the ZRAs of this world who are responsible for looking after money, fiscal discipline at the government level, get rid of corruption. Corruption exists, but minimize the level of corruption. Legislate access to opportunity. And then, as I said before, let's look at the regional needs within the country, provincial needs. Let's look at, and I don't always like to, it's nostalgic to some extent, but if we look at our founding fathers and their approach to the economic development of this country, they looked at each region and they said, what is the strength of the Eastern Province? What is the strength of Winilunga? What is the strength of Livingston? What is the strength of Lusaka and the central area? And they established productive industries around each of those strengths. That's what I mean when I say economic justice. Each province in this country has a strength in one way, shape, or form. And it is our mandate, it is our drive, it is our vision to actually leverage each of those. And then there are also comparative advantages. So you can grow food in the Eastern Province, you can grow food in the Southern Province, food, cattle, etc. So you can feed this nation between Southern Province and Eastern Province. With technology, you can feed this nation, quite frankly, from any province in the country. But let's talk about relative and comparative strengths as a starting point. But I don't know whether you call it a federal system, is that each province must be economically independent, but economically contribute to the center for national agenda items. There is no province in this country that cannot be turned into productive. So that is one, just economic justice. The second one is deep capital, which indeed, in the beginnings now, as we are talking now, and as the current government has done, is to attract investors. But attract investors as our long-term partners. And as you and I were talking earlier, Mr. Banda, that has got to be very strategic. You can't call every person who walks through our airport an investor or crosses our border as an investor. An investor has a definition. And for us, that definition must be somebody who is filling a gap that we ourselves are not able to fill financially. So, mining sector. We know that our fiscal book is not strong enough to run all of the mines. We need investors there. But when we bring in those investors, we must have conditions. And we do have conditions. Every mining license comes with a development plan around the area. Right. Do we hold them accountable? Do we trace them? Do we monitor them? All of those things. So if you think, again, I go back to our founding fathers, Luansha, Chingola, Kabwe, where all of our mines are, Solwezi now. What did those towns look like in 1970? Luansha, I think, was called the cleanest and the most beautiful town in all of Africa. Yeah. Can we hold that title now? I don't think so. So investors have got to be managed by us. I cannot go into the US and get an investor license unless I have $5 million minimum to put. I cannot go to Dubai and have investor privileges unless I have put in $1 million plus into that country. And it doesn't mean buying a house. It means setting up a company and employing their locals at a senior level. So that deep capital must then become, after we do the strategic investment, we give them our national plan and what we want them to do. China, by the way, when I was working with the IFC, I did projects in China. They told us, we don't need you in Beijing, Ms. Banda. You need to go into Zhuangji, where we don't have a banking system, if you want to work with China. And we had to do that, because they understood where their gaps were, where they needed to fill, and how they wanted to work with the international partners, and articulate it very clearly to the international partners. They have something we need, we have something they need. It should be a consideration. And I could go on that, but let me go to the third one, which is local ownership. I am very passionate. As passionate as State Council is about the Constitution, I am very, very passionate about making sure that Zambians feel vested in this economy. And that requires building our domestic business. Again, working with our international partners, let it cascade. Let it cascade beyond supplying the mine with printer, toner for the printers, with paper, A4 paper for the printers, with food, tomatoes, and it has to cascade into long-term industries for Zambians so that Zambians can then begin to encroach at a higher and higher level in our productive industry sector. And that requires very clearly thought out government policy. I'll stop there because I can see you've got a lot of questions on your mind.
Yes, for now, yes. But I'll take you back to what you already started talking about, and this is the mining sector. Yeah. You have been a board chair of ZCCMRH before, and I'm sure you must have grasped enough around the mining sector and how it operates, where the gaps are. Right now, this government has done its bit in terms of attracting investment, especially FDI, into the mining sector, and which is a good thing. I believe you agree with me.
Absolutely.
But then you've spoken about it's not just a matter of bringing investment or investors. It's an issue of how do Zambians benefit. Is that a narration that the way we are bringing in investment, we are probably not doing it right somehow, somewhere?
I think the reality, I would answer that bluntly, somewhere we are not doing it right. Because if we were doing it right, as I alluded earlier, we would have felt immediately the relief in the communities around the mining area. Immediately that relief would have come. I struggle. I don't question it. It's a conversation I'd like to have. Why mining companies feel they have to be in an enclosed compound for their staff, for their children's schools, for their community golf clubs, and so on and so forth. Why is that not flowing through to the Zambian people? They don't have to be in those golf clubs. They don't have to be in those swimming pools, but they must be golf clubs and swimming pools that go across that boundary that entitles mine X when you enter. And this is why I say, and I let me acknowledge, I agree with you. Opening up the country to investment, especially in the mining sector, was a very important achievement. And we must not take that away. It is, for me, what we must now start to question is, as you opened up that industry to investor X, investor Y, number one, what lesson did we learn from the previous breakdown? What led us to end up in the breakdown in which we did? You cannot say it was Zambia alone. When there is a problem, there are between two people and contractual, there are two people involved. So we know what we did wrong. We assessed what we did wrong in that relationship. Did our friends assess and acknowledge what they did wrong? And did we therefore come to the table in chapter 2 of version 2 with an acknowledgement that something has not worked here? What do we do to improve the future engagement so that there is benefit for both sides? So there are issues, and those issues are real. And it's negotiation. We have to put at the table when we negotiate the best possible minds that we have. Whether those minds are in ZCCM, they're in IDC, or they're in the mining industry itself. Some of our people are treasurers, they are managers, they are CEOs. How are we negotiating in the best, not even how, are we negotiating in the best interest of Zambia? I posit that right now, the answer to that is not what we would like it to be as Zambians.
My guest this morning on the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue is Miss Dolika Banda. She is member of the Movement for National Renewal. And of course, later in the course of the program, I will give you, our listener, an opportunity to call in and interact with her. And also, give you an opportunity to share your thoughts as well on our Facebook page. That's 5FM Radio Zambia. And share your thoughts as well on the BMTV Facebook page. we will be grateful to hear from you. Now, job creation, Madam. With unemployment being a major concern in this country and the region, but we'll zero it into Zambia, of course. How does the Movement for National Renewal plan to create jobs and stimulate economic growth?
So I think some of it is probably I've alluded to in our earlier discussion.
That's right.
I think but the first thing we should ask ourselves is, what kind of jobs do we want to create?
That's the thing.
Because we have been producing children that are they're pounding the pavements, literally. They come out with a qualification, 4 years, sometimes 7 if you're doing medicine, and then you come out and you're not able to find work. So fundamentally, we have to ask ourselves, why are we churning out students when we don't have an uptake on the other side? Why are we turning out doctors and there are not enough hospitals for them to be employed in, and yet we have a sick nation to a large extent? Our health numbers are not that great. So something there is not right, you know? We are turning out lawyers, but like my friend, State Council, lawyers always find something to do. But I think fundamentally we must ask ourselves, are we churning out the talent, the quality of people that we need to develop this country today? Why are our children learning on exercise books when today to do anything you need a laptop? Why are they not learning on iPads? There was a program called iSchools that was started by Ian McFadden, a friend of mine. Yeah. It has not taken. In government, I would have been running to work with somebody like Ian. Give us iSchools. iSchools, that little tablet, first of all, it can run on solar. Secondly, we can put all the curricula, not only of Zambia, of even other countries that we're competing with, on that iPad. It can run in different languages. This is an idea. I'm not promoting Ian McFadden or iSchools in particular.
I understand you.
But this is an idea. When we are talking about job creation, how will that serve the country that we live in today? So we need to think very strategically, very carefully. And I use the Chinese model, the Malaysian model, where people were being prepared for practicality. Not to go and sit in an office and wear a white shirt and a suit. That's not the way the world works today. The wealthiest people in the world today are innovators, they are creatives, they are tech savvy, and they are allowed free fall to follow their talent. They are in sports, they are in the creatives, in the dances, in music. That's what we should be thinking about as we think about appropriate job creation. Is technology driven? Now, I spoke about the industry development before. Cascading is what job creation is about. So when you talk to me or even to State Council about John, we're beyond titles now. When you talk to us about job creation, we actually talk about enterprise, entrepreneurial, relevant. And that necessarily doesn't mean arithmetic, writing, and reading. And it means feeding the industries that are very strong in this country. Tourism is very strong. Service industry in this country is pretty low. The quality of service in Zambia, if you compare it to Kenya, and I love my country, so I'm not casting aspersions or being negative. I want it to be like those countries when I visit Switzerland and I walk into a restaurant and the tablecloth is put exactly the right way. Knives are set the right way. That in Nsima, it is served in a manner that I have left my house, I'm going to pay money, and I want that service. When I walk into a government office, first of all, I shouldn't even be dealing with a government office in today's world. I should be doing all that online. I should be doing it all online. So the jobs we should be creating are the kids who are going to sit behind that computer when I get online to renew my driver's license. It is that child that I should be creating who's going to be behind that computer and working with me. Very rarely should we be having person-to-person interaction. Right. Now, some people say, you're going to take jobs away from people. No. There is no computer system that does not have people behind it. There is no AI that does not have people behind it. So for me, for us, for MNR, it's renewal, right?
No.
It's renewal. So we're not going to be you will need the standard skills, but we're going to be creating relevant skills.
Let's get into the bigger things, governance and accountability. I know that John Sangwa's State Council has been hitting hard on this. Just tell us the governance standards really that MNR aims to raise, and what specific measures would you take to ensure transparency, accountability, and reduce corruption?
So we don't believe as MNR that we need to be reinventing the wheel. The values you raise now of transparency, accountability, integrity, equality, those exist in the world, right? Again, there is no economy, there is no social structure, there is no country that is perfect. But that should not stop us from aiming for what we think are the examples that are close to perfect. So on governance, it starts with what? It starts with institutions. It starts with the rule of law. It starts with the delineation and the respect for the role of the executive, the role of the legislature, the role of the judiciary. When, as a country, you start to blur the lines between institutions, and here I've talked about governance institutions at public level,
right,
but you can say the same about state-owned enterprises. When you start to blur the lines between institutions, you start to weaken the base upon which you're supposed to grow. So governance, even in a home, I like to break down things to something that we can all relate to. Even in a home, imagine if your father has set the rule. Your mother and father have sat together and said, this is how we will operate. We will have breakfast at 8 o'clock. You will leave for school at whatever time it is. When you come back from school, this is the time you're going to do homework. You will have 1 hour for television, and then you will do your prayers and go to bed, and we start again. Now imagine you live in a home where they have set those rules, and then mother gets up at 9 o'clock. Father doesn't leave the house to take the kids to school or comes home at 11 p.m. Eating time, this one goes, today I want Hungry Lion, that one goes at a different time. Prayer, every child prays in their little room on their own before already you've lost track of what you want to achieve. So governance for me is fundamental. And again, movement for national renewal. John and I look at this thing and say, it is a personal decision. Governance is a personal decision. And if each of even the 1 million that we have registered so far said, I'm going to follow the rules. We have these big billboards around the city and in our cities that say zero tolerance for corruption.
Right.
But when you get stopped at a traffic light or whatever, you have a conversation with the police officer and suddenly everybody walks away and everybody's smiling. Something has happened there that shouldn't have happened. So it's at the very, very lowest level. We are in charge of ensuring that governance of this country is run properly. And so if governance breaks down in a country, there is no way you can grow that country to its rightful level, because it means mindsets are being distracted from what they are supposed to be doing. Resources, money, is not going where it is supposed to be going for the good of all. And it means that the intellectual capacity of our people is displaced in thinking about how can I make quick money by circumventing the government's institutions of governance, rather than how can I make honest money and be more sustainable and continue to respect these institutions of governance. So what do we intend to do about it? Simply enforce the law. That's it. Our laws are not bad. If you go and you read the municipalities, Lusaka's council's regulations, they're pretty good. but it's enforcement. So as a start, we may over time tweak, add, improve because times change.
Right.
But fundamentally, tomorrow, if the mayor of this city woke up tomorrow and said, I'm going to enforce the rules, the bylaws of this country, starting from tomorrow, things will start to change. I think you agree with me, is that correct?
I do agree with you. I do agree with you. But then, citizen participation, again, it's another issue. Yes, you may enforce the law, but also citizens may want to have a mutual understanding on how, laws are implemented. How do you intend to engage the citizens? Because again, sensitization has been lacking.
Yeah.
Especially on the laws. Well, some people just hear their laws, but they don't know about them, So maybe you have a plan around that as MNR?
First of all, I agree with you. Sensitization is extremely important. But also, before we even get to sensitization, individual sense of responsibility and accountability. Do you think it's okay that when you're passing your nice offices here with your nice garden outside, do you think it's okay for me to just turn around and relieve myself outside your gate?
No.
I don't have to sensitize you about that. Do you think it's okay for me to buy ichtumbua, let me say, from a lady and I don't see where she's washing her things? That corner there by the Mulungushi, the government hotel there near Toyota. What is that road? Alikinkata and the crossroad. They have little wheelbarrows. They are selling bananas. They are selling avocado. Yeah. And the drainage system, the water is green with slime. Is it okay for me to stop and buy bananas for my children from there? There's no tap nearby. So the personal responsibility is something that we are doing even now as we speak. It's not just MNR, it's you too. You must have a program that questions our citizens around. Oh, I was driving past Chakchakte. Was it okay that this person cut me up? There are four-way stops all over this city. People create jams at the four-way stop. Now, you've passed your driver. You got your driver's license. You passed the test. You read the highway code. Highway code all over has four-way stop observations when the traffic lights stop working or where there are no traffic lights. So how did you get your driver's license if you didn't understand that? So there are certain things that we personally must now start taking ownership for as Zambians. This is our country. I can't buy a house, Zachariah, with my hard-earned money and then watch it deteriorate. When a door handle is broken, I just leave it for somebody else to come and fix. Who's going to come and fix it? I have a garden in the house and I just leave it like that. It's just green. It's brown. It's not growing. I can't even grow some tomatoes. Or who's going to come and do it for me? We must take pride and national dignity in who we are as a people. That's the first point. Starts with us. On the enforcement and the sensitization and all of that, how were we sensitized about HIV/AIDS? How were we sensitized about malaria? How are we sensitized about cholera? Why can't we use the same methodologies? It's word of mouth, it's radio, it's posters, it's television, it's schools in the school space. I don't know how you do that with 150 students in one class. But it's those spaces. Again, we must, sometimes I feel like we have reached such a point of breakdown as people that we have made even what is surmountable, insurmountable. You sit bagava oneko, bayanganepo. No, government is you. Government is me. You, observing the rules and the regulations. We can post all, and now with these cell phones, if ZRA can tell me I need to pay my taxes by X date, they can surely tell me that according to the municipality of Lusaka, rule number Chakuti says, where there is no ablution, no cooking. When it comes to grass, we love to burn grass, right? We cut all our stuff and then we put it in the drainage systems and we burn it there. That's illegal. So the council itself can use our SMSs and whatever. Zicta has all our numbers in different languages to tell us, this week we're going to focus on rule number X or health issue number Y, and just bombard us with that stuff and use children. Children absorb so much. And I love my people because we are so malleable. If somebody sings a song about cholera, we will repeat that song until it becomes habit. So there's so many ways of sensitizing people, simple ways that we can do this. The churches, the schools, even kitchen parties. When you go to the police to get a permit to hold a kitchen party, police must tell you, no problem. We ask you to please encourage these 2 things or these 3 things. This country can change.
You are big on education, and this government has pushed the free education so hard, and I think that even much as they are doing that, they've also, I think, attached feeding program to it. Mm-hmm. They still have been criticized on the fact that yes, free education is good, but it's lacking quality. Mm. How do we harmonize that?
So when you say free education, I think we need to look at the whole package. What do we mean exactly? It is not free education when it's happened to me in the beginning of January. 2 different sets of cousins come to me and say, "Mwana wa pasa, wampasa malo." So the child has passed and has got a space at school X, but I need to buy uniform, I need to buy pencils, I need to buy a mathematics set, I need to buy X, Y, Z. I think they even have to bring soap or something like that. So the total for the one child who was going into Form 1 was 2,400 kwacha. So where is free in that? Yes, you've given them a space in a classroom, but then you've burdened them. And then the parents have to contribute also. I think there's some lunch allowance or something like that every month that has to go. If you look at the full package of free and the full definition of free, maybe it shouldn't be free. Maybe you should tell parents, give us 50 kwacha or 100 kwacha. And then we will put in place the rest of this, if we want to call it free education, the rest of this infrastructure so that this child leaves your house. You have fed them, whatever you can feed them. They come to school and they concentrate. And you are comfortable that that child is going to be given quality education. Quality education cannot be attained when one teacher we went from 75 odd to 120. Last week I was hearing 180 children in class learning with exercise books, not even on computers. How much quality will you get from that? And those children are mixed, by the way, because all they've said is it's free, open doors. So any child will walk in. Parents aspire for their children to be educated. It's normal. But there's no control. So you need to look at the full solution. You can't just say, I'm going to buy a chassis without looking at the rest of the engine of the car and making sure that all the cogs and wheels are working in sync to achieve what we need to achieve.
This is the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue. And remember, we are also live on our partner media houses, and we are live on Isunga Radio, that is in Senga Hill in Northern Province on 88.3. Live also on Tuta FM in Mansa on 90.7 FM. ZFM in Kapiri, 100.3, Spice FM in Kabwe and Central Province, that is on 91.1, and Platinum Radio in Ndola on 99.7, Katete FM on 103.3, and BMTV on channel 114 on Topstar, and also live on their Facebook page, that is BMTV Zambia. We will take phone calls for our guest, and remember our guest is Miss Dolika Banda. She is member of the Movement for National Renewal. And so we'll take phone calls on 0955-2215 And so let's get started. You can call us now, and we've got a couple of conversations going on our Facebook page, which is encouraging. But we would like to have questions as well. If you don't mind, please leave us a comment or indeed a question. We'll be grateful to hear from you. Once again, the number you're calling us on is 0955221515. Now, straight to our Facebook page. Let's see if we can pick up a few. I think there is Mulumbeni Chilwa on our Facebook page, quite a lengthy comment, and I'm sure it's also got questions in it, but I will read it anyway. You have strongly criticized the current administration led by Hakainde Hichilema and say Zambia needs renewal. But Zambians have heard similar promises from many political leaders before. If the movement for national renewal formed government today, what 3 concrete policies would you implement in your first 100 days to reduce the cost of living, solve the electricity crisis, and create jobs for young people? Please also explain exactly how you would fund these plans without increasing taxes or pushing Zambia back into another debt crisis. How would you, or how many megawatts of alternative energy you would add within 5 years to reduce reliance on hydropower, and which specific industries you would prioritize to create large-scale employment? Finally, given that many political parties in Zambia begin with strong promises, but later fall, let me just get it right. Okay, so yeah, but later fall into corruption or poor governance, what institutional safeguards would you put in place to guarantee transparency and accountability? And if your government fails to deliver these promises within 5 years, what personal responsibility would you be held accountable for by the Zambian people? Maybe I can let you respond to that because it's quite lengthy. Then we can take phone calls after you respond to that.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. and Ms. Chira.
Mulumbeni Chilwa.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that comment. It's several questions in one.
Right.
Let me try to address. The first thing is, I think I'd like to get us away from this notion that I am criticizing the current president. This issue for me is not about HH. Zambia has been on a downward trajectory for the last 50 years, let me say. We have just reached a point now that I personally feel I can't sit by the sidelines. I must challenge. I must question. This is not an individual. This country is not led by an individual. And we must get away from this as a nation. And this is why even when you look at our headlines, our newspapers, our mainstream media, it is all ichochise, as the members would say. It is not about the issues that face this country. So I want to get us away from this notion. My decision to run and my decision to join forces with John Sangwa are because I feel this country can do better than it has done over the last 50 years, given the strength and the number of assets that we have, whether those are naturally endowed assets or our people and our intellect. If we take the assets and the resources that we have and we take the human capacity that we have and we put it together in a transparent way, and in a journey that has a big dream for this country would be better in the next 60 years. That is why I'm joining this race. It's nothing to do with an individual. It's to do with my love for this country and its people and myself. I want to live in a country at 70 where I feel free to cross the street. So I want to dispel that notion. On the issue of creating jobs and energy, these are manifesto issues that have been raised. And I think we spoke about the jobs. I don't know at what point the caller joined this conversation, but we did talk about creating jobs that are relevant for the future, not only of Zambia, but that make Zambia relevant in the future of the world, because the world is going global. We can be doing an industry here. Telemarketing is one. We could have telemarketing happening in this country and serving a company in Colorado.
Yeah.
So for me, it is not creating jobs. It is not this job work for money, people sweeping streets. It is not about municipality. It is about creating a resource in our human capacity that will serve this nation for years to come. And that means rethinking how we deliver on the education platform, because you can't create jobs without having the relevant skill sets. So we have that's the starting point, which relates to education, which we spoke about.
Yeah.
On the energy crisis, again, I want to be clear. If you have looked at the power policy that is currently being used by the current government, that policy on energy is actually okay. And I want again to say to Zambians, we fail, and I want people to understand, I'm not saying this in a manner of it is Zambians and myself. I am a Zambian, so I put myself fairly and squarely into that equation whenever I say Zambians. We have to also learn to accept change, a dissenting voice, but we also have to learn to say, actually, this part of what is happening is okay. It is good. What is not good about it is maybe the implementation. So the energy policy, I think the energy policy we have today is a very good policy. And it doesn't come from just today. It's a blueprint that has been in place for some time, just like the link Zambia is a blueprint that has been in place for some time. The borders, starting with Kazungula, have been in place for some time. Where we struggle is implementation, monitoring, evaluation, quality control. So the roads we build, the quality is not good. We've had rains that we've had today, so much acid. Roads that were built 6 years ago are breaking up. So I think we should stay away from policy and we should focus on, are we implementing with what we've got already? Are we working it to its maximum? Are we working it to its point of excellence? If we took the policies that we have in place today, whether it's education, health, infrastructure, energy, if we sat down in the room of experts and say, is this policy good? The answer invariably will be yes. Where we fail is implementation, follow through, accountability, responsibility.
We do have more comments on Facebook. Did you still want to expand? But this comment is not this point is not.
Ms. Chira to feel that I have disregarded them, but let's move on to others and give their chance.
So Harry Muka says, come to Northwestern Province. There is nothing to show for the mining industry in the province. Nothing at all. A lot is wrong, he says. And Kathy Tembo agrees and adds, I agree. It's sad indeed. Even Copperbelt province is becoming a ghost province.
Yeah.
Let me take a few phone calls. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Uncle Zagini.
Nili bwino muli bwanji?
Bueno, Dolika Banda.
Nili bwino kana?
This is Isaac Banda.
Isaac?
Banda.
Yes, Isaac. Please go ahead. Where are you calling us from? Sorry to... Lilai. All right. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just concerned because from our president and some other government officials, they are saying that the economy has changed. It is growing now. and they are basing their argument on numbers. To say numbers don't lie. So at the economy is growing at the 6 point, I don't know 6 point what. But then on the ground it's not translating. When you look at what we are going through on the ground, it's something else different, totally different from what they are saying, from what they are telling us. So now I wonder to say, on whose interest is this economy growing? Because me, as an ordinary citizen, if I cannot feel it, then I don't know who are they saving, apart from me, who chose them to be on that seat. Just today, the report from the JCP, is it
JCTR, yeah.
Yes, they are saying that the basket now is running on 11,800 and something plus. So I've got a family of about 9 plus members. And what I'm spending is more than that. So now when these people, when they say that, no, the economy is growing, I fail to understand. To say, what who is benefiting if the economy is growing? Me, I'm not benefiting. Then who is benefiting? Is it these foreigners, the foreign investors, or a few people in the government, or who? So maybe if you can help us to understand, Madam, maybe if you can explain better so that I understand. Because this has been their song from day one, and now they are getting out. Their time has elapsed. Very soon we will be voting. So when are we going to feel that that same change if we can't feel it right now? So I think that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac, for your question. And maybe I add another call on 0955-221515. Good morning. Tauka mauka bwanji atibandani mutumira kuti.
Bashimagi bali mu Lusaka.
Bashimagi.
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Bashimagi,
Brother Morgan.
Right.
Bachilonda.
Great.
Ngati mwayangana imwe bazimai na imwe mulina manta kubwera mu politics. Congratulations to you to come into political arena.
Thank you.
That's why before yesterday we are celebrating Women's Day. What are you doing as a women? We need to come on board. You come the way you have come. That's what we want, to compete. Politics is about competitions. And somebody was telling me that don't challenge a player who is scoring. But if the player is scoring, why substitute a player who is scoring? So for me, it's very welcome and excellent, because we have one few women who are in the political arena and vying the bigger position as the president. You only Chalakateka and the late Edith Nawak. So come on board, we are welcome. But come to challenge and come based on policies. People vote based on policies. If they hear the voice, what you are talking, I think you mundu and votera. But at the moment, yeah, there are some people, they said it cannot lose because it's the first term. In Zambia, we got the history where 2 terms. And some people are saying, it can happen the way it happened to Malawi. In Chakwera only had the 1 term, but it's up to people. So the way government is working and the position bring policies on the table. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Shmagi. I'll let you respond to those that have so far come through.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the callers for making the time, Shmagi and Mr. Banda. Rashmaki, I just want to say thank you. It is a challenge, and it's wonderful to hear Brother Morgan endorse and support the role of women in politics. And I want to recognize women who've been in politics many, many years ago. We know that our recent ones,
Yes.
which he mentioned. But when you go back to the Mama Kankasas, to the Zenia Njovos, to the Gwendolyn Connies, we've had women in Mary Folanos, we've had women in politics before. We must recognize them. We must celebrate them, particularly now. As we celebrate this month, even though I said every month should be Women's Month. So I want to put a shout out. The reason I'm sitting here, the reason I had the courage to get up and say, I'm going to enter this warrior called politics, is because I'm standing on the shoulders of those women who have shown me that it is possible to go into this area, into this arena, and do something different.
Right.
So I just want to recognize that. On the issue of the economy growing, there are two ways that I like to, for all of us, even as Zambians, we talked a little bit earlier about sensitizing citizens to what is required rule and law. But it's also important that we exercise our citizenry, our civic right to question the numbers the way Mr. Banda has questioned them. So there are two ways you look at the world, in my world where I come from. Economic measures, social measures, or socio-economic. Economic measures, which the whole world understands, is GDP. GDP is what we have been shouting about now, boasting about, and kudos. We have moved it, shifted it. I think it was 3% when government came in to somewhere close to 6% now. But we must also accept and question and challenge ourselves that it's nice to boast it when you're coming already from a low base. We're coming from a low base. 6% GDP is not going to change the nature of the future of this country. It's not going to change what I'm able to put on the table for my children, or to send them to school, or afford medication that is appropriate for what they need. At 6%, our people are still, at 6% GDP, our people are still living below $3 a day for about 15 million people, or $2 a day. 14 million of our 20 million people are living under $2 a day. That's 40 kwacha. And here you have JCTR tell us you need 11,000. That's 40 kwacha per day. So even if you translate it to 1 month, we are woefully below what we're being told is a food basket cost. Mr. Banda, congratulations that you can actually put food on the table. Many people are not able to put food on the table. So GDP is good. Having renegotiated the debt facilities, although we're told by the IMF now that they won't really finalize until after the election, that's also good. Getting the investors back is good. You can boast about that. But those are economic numbers that matter to the rest of the world. What matters to the Zambian person is exactly what we're hearing here. There are measures that can be spoken about even in the global world that measure what you are doing in terms of impact on the people. That's what we are being asked for here. What is the impact of all these good stories on my daily life? The measures, as much as we talk about GDP, as much as we talk about the currency, that cost of living factor is coming under social measures. Social measures, which are global measures, can be done through the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, definitely as MNR. We will publicize those. We will tell where Zambia is coming from and starting from upon appointment, what our trajectory want to be. These are the 2030, those of us who follow the UN numbers. These are the 2030 SDGs. We're not going to meet them. We're not the only country that's not going to meet them, but frankly, I care about Zambia not meeting them. We're not going to meet the SDGs. Those are numbers we should be throwing out and saying, this is where we are, this is where we plan to be. The JCTR index, whether we like it or we don't, the Catholic Church does run these numbers, and like we said earlier, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So numbers don't lie both ways, right? Social indicators, SDGs, follow the indicators locally, JCTR. Follow the Transparency International indicators, which talk about corruption. Again, Zambia may have moved in terms of corruption upwards, but that's also a lagging indicator. It is not a current indicator. Corruption is a lagging number, but also it is what we see on a daily basis. It is when you go into an institution to try and get something done, and regardless of how many billboards we have, that corruption index is still there. That we must tackle. There is something generally that is called the Gini indicator. The GNI indicator is a social indicator. That is the social equivalent of GDP. And we must publicize these numbers, and we must speak to these numbers, and we must say, this is how we are going to move from this level for the GNI indicator to this level in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time. Zambians, this is what we need to do. This is what we need from you in order to be able to achieve this. So there are indicators, and I do understand the frustration, and we must start talking about those indicators because they will point to the fact that no matter how much you shout about the global indicators we're shouting about today, let us also talk about these indicators. And let us tell ourselves on the social indicators, we will shout and celebrate when we reach this level for SDGs, when we reach this level for Gini coefficient, when we reach this level for the JTR food basket. We must have that honest conversation so that people don't get frustrated the way they are frustrated here.
I'll take another one. On 0955221515. Good morning.
Good morning, Ozaki.
How are you today?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for calling. Please share your name and where you're calling us from.
Abel calling from Cabo. Abel Pakabwapa.
Abel from Kabwe. Thank you for calling, Abel. Please go ahead.
Natotera. President, mention.
Ndifya bwino baaba omulishani.
Natotera sana. Nataka kwa accent mbele sio President Banda batwalanda mu Kibemba.
Twala umfwa. Twala mbona fyataya. Nalabika bane chingoni but twala umfwana.
Twatotera sana wakateka. Ikulondolo ko mlelondolo kwa umfika. But in equation if you don't kwete ko ni imo oro ya biri. Ninte mama policies you know mkwete. That's number one. And the number two, if you were to be accommodated, because the patrera and the every punch per ground pano require unity kuri mwewa opposition. So if you are accord an opportunity to join maybe don't or any alliance, ukufumika ko ile teka. Will you join? And mwabombera komo nabaneno. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Let me give you some more from Facebook. Kathy Temple says, good morning. I've followed you since inception. How can I get in touch with you? My questions are on 3 pillars. Economics. What will you do different in economics, especially the mining sector and the private sector? 2, infrastructure development. What is your plan on infrastructure development? We are good at building and bad at maintenance.
Yeah.
Sports. Zambian sports is in disarray. How do you plan to probably work that out? All right. And Mike Bwanga raises a good question as well. The 1 million members that you have registered, what were the safeguards of avoiding one person registering 2 or more times? How are they sure, or how are you sure that the figures you have are not from duplicity? Maybe you can respond to those.
I think let me start with Mike's because it's very straightforward.
Right.
So we thought about that deeply.
Yeah.
We continue to think about that deeply. And it is a very, very good question. You can't avoid duplicity, but we have tried to make sure. So we've been checking phone numbers to the names that are being given. Some cases people have been free enough to give us NRCs. And remember, not all of these people have signed on because they've just gone onto the website. Many of these people we have met. We've spoken to them. We have people who are cascading the story. So we follow the law, we follow the rules. So it's almost like a train the trainer kind of thing. Okay. So a lot of the registration actually came to us from people sitting in a room or going to somebody and signing up. But I want to put a fundamental issue here. If there is duplicity and somebody is trying to undermine what MNR is about, whoever you are, that in itself should tell you that you're not a national, you're not a proud Zambian. Why would you want to scamper something that is trying to do something good for the country? So we should think. It's a very valid question, and I want to use this opportunity to speak to those who are using their intellect in a destructive manner to please be constructive and be open to change. Be open to people wanting to exercise their civic rights. That's what a democracy is about. So that to my thank you. Abel, thank you, first of all, for the first point. Second point is, would we join opposition? What I want to say is we are on a journey of renewal, a journey of restarting, reboot for this country, where we introspect as individuals, first of all, and then as the collective, as members of MNR. If there is any member of the opposition with whom we are like-minded, we will join forces. We will invite them. This is what we are standing for. And they know we meet. It's not like we don't meet. You know, we are all Zambians. It's a small community. You meet, you have these conversations. If you are moved by the movement for national renewal and the 10 points that it is raising, it doesn't matter. It's open to opposition. It doesn't matter who you are. If your love for this country and your vision for this country resonates with what we are saying, then there's no reason why we shouldn't have that conversation. Unity is not just of opposition. Unity is about this country as a whole. You know, I mean, recently there's been all these divisions within this country which just don't make sense. We are one country. So unity is about the country. Unity is about our vision and our dreams for our country and our children's children, third generation down. It's not about me. It's not about my nephews or my nieces. It's about their children. Then I know that we are on the right track as a country. On this point, I think the last thing I'd like to make is to clarify for all of us, or remind, not clarify, but remind each of us that a democracy, a healthy democracy, and the fundamentals of democracy is to allow room for dissent. Room for a different view, room for a different perception. So having multiple opposition parties in and of itself is not a problem. And we must embrace it. And we must challenge those parties on the basis of what are their policies. Democracy requires a multiplicity of different voices coming to the table. The UK has, I think, 6 different active parties. The US is probably unique in that it has 2 significant ones, but they still have Green Party. Germany has different parties. They came to a coalition. South Africa today is running on a government of national unity because there were multiple things. So, and the driver of why you want unity in opposition must be clear. I'm going to tackle the elephant in the room here, which is you don't want a unified opposition because you want an individual targeted. You want a unified opposition because their values are aligned and they will deliver for the country. We must be very clear on this. Yeah. Then to Kathy, and Kathy, I know you've joined many, many calls and you constantly challenge on specifics. So thank you for that. We will get your number from the team here. And I have my team here, Letitia, if you can help me to do that. And we will have a conversation with you specifically on the questions raised.
Yeah.
But I'd like to tackle a little bit on the economy. What would we do differently? Again, I want to emphasize what I said earlier on the economy, on infrastructure development. You mentioned maintenance. It is not the policies that are the problem. It is how we are implementing them or not. It is how we are not monitoring them or not. It is how we are evaluating them or not. It is how no one feels to be held accountable for what they have actually delivered, whether it is good quality or not. So that's the main issue. On sport, like education, touch a very, very important point. And I think we spoke about it earlier. If not, then we should have done. Sport for me is not sport for fun. Sport for me is like why we send our children to school. It is the same reason we choose to go to church, those of us who do, or have some other form of spiritual guidance, those who do. Sport is about discipline. It is about ambition. It is about national pride. It is about national dignity. It is about unification of the country. So when KK11 wins, the whole of this country is out on the streets. But for them to get to the point of winning, they have avoided alcohol, they have avoided drugs, they have avoided going out late at night. So sport for me is what forms a country. And we must pay attention to it and pay attention to it. And it also makes for a healthy nation. It makes for a healthy nation. So,
Well,
Kathy, we will be in touch with you.
Great. I'll take the last 3 phone calls and
ayo nankwakatekeko kyalo kya Zambia obanga mwaba muwa pati aya abanenwa awo ni pati tabama ekulanda kwani amaile sami pale ubombe mteni
Tashamkwai va Edgar from Kabwe Mkwai. So we'll take one more, and then I have another a question from Facebook. Let me quickly read it out for you. This one is from Henry Mavimba. He says, "Good morning. Mwayoya makola mama. My major concern is the artisanal and small-scale mining in Zambia. The problem range from severe environmental degradation and safe mining practices, resulting into fatalities to lack of licenses. What will be your long-term solution to this sector, as it is a potential boost to GDP?" Yeah. Maybe we can respond to that.
Okay. First of all, batata bayombwe Natasha sana ifimwalande fi ninkutika ichachine twakula shimpa fifine tuleyamo twalingira munchitwei balanda ti namayo ni nshimbi so ningomfofo mulandire twala chafye continue, and hopefully we will serve you well. Mr. Mavimba, artisanal mining and small-scale miners, environmental degradation. Again, subject matters that are very close to my heart, especially the environmental degradation, the impact of mining on our environment. And we've all seen it. Somebody was calling us from Kabwe, Mr. Yombwe, I think. The fallout of poor closure of that mine in Kabwe that was owned by Anglo, I believe, and then subsequently by ZCCM and government. 3 generations later, people are still born with deformities as a result of the poor closure of that mine. And so it's an occupational hazard for us as a country, because we are a resource-based country. We're a mining-based country, and these sorts of accidents, when they happen, the impact is it's not like wazikwesa chironda waikapo plaster ipole in 7 days. These things go on and on and on. So we are, as I said, 3 going into 4 generations, and still we are suffering from the impact of that. So mining is something that we have to handle with jealousy, protect it, and protect our people. They still have not stopped mining that mine in Kabwe. Where is our Ministry of Mines? Where is our Ministry of Health? Where are all the different arms of government to help that community in Kabwe to find alternative means of living instead of continuing? So the parents were in that mine, the children were now digging around the remnants of that mine. Now the children, the grandchildren of that first generation are still trying to make a living from that mine. How can we not manage it so that we help our people to find an alternative? First of all, shut the thing down, screen it off, so that people are not exposed. But as you do that, earlier I spoke about looking at the full spectrum of solutions when we are giving. So you replace the chassis, but you don't look at what else is wrong in the car. Same thing with Kabwe. What is it that we can do in Kabwe that can take people away from that mine? Closing it alone will not solve the problem. Environmental degradation is the same. So for the artisanal miners, And when you see the manifesto, you're going to love us on this one, because obviously, having been at ZCCM, I saw things that made my heart bleed about how Black Mountain, for example, or even gold. If you look at gold, the way it's being mined in Rufunsa and our different areas where we have gold, our people are at the lowest point in that. It's an economic cycle, right? People are doing this not because they like the look of the stones or the gold. They are doing this to put food on the table. So even if you go and say, "Mwinash tefi," they'll turn around and say, "No, Baba, no, Baba, finish." So we have to find a solution. Artisanal mining can work, and it can work for the benefit of our people. Why is it that our people are the ones digging? It's a whole circle, right? So at the very bottom, digging in the holes is our people, Zambian people. Around them is the next level, maybe the police or whoever the guards are who look after that place. Above that, the gold is then sold, usually not to Zambians, but to others who come in and take advantage of our stones. In Tanzania, you cannot be walking around with a gemstone or with a piece of gold and try to sell it to somebody. It's illegal. You'll be arrested. It has to go through a formal marketing structure. So these are policy issues. We don't take away artisanal mining. We protect our people. We give them the right equipment to do that. We pay them a fair share for the work that they are doing, and we build the communities around them so that they are able to make a living without putting their lives at risk. We have thought it through. We have a plan, and again, we will share it very shortly. The elections are not far away, so manifestos will be coming out very soon. As Mr. Yombwe said, prepare everything.
Now, finally, yesterday when we spoke with State Council, he wanted my pledge. I understand that MNR is going to run the campaigns on Zambian-funded campaigns. Yes. And it's the 20 kwachas, the 50 kwachas, the 100 kwachas that you as MNR are saying is what will fund your campaigns. Yeah. Just tell us a bit about that, and why did you have to choose Zambians to fund your campaigns?
Okay. So, first of all, I reiterate the request for your pledge, and whatever State Council, whatever you say to him, double it. Yeah. But, and I'm speaking to everybody in this studio because the others are looking comfortable. I'm speaking to all of you guys and girls. Yeah. This is the 10th point on the list of the MNR self-evaluation, self-introspection questions about what it means to be a Zambian in Zambia and having that national pride. When you get money from somebody, it's not free, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. I will owe you something, one way or the other, even on a daily basis. I will owe you something because you have given me that money. I would have given my dignity to you because you have given me that money. I will probably even have given the ability to make decisions on my behalf because you have given me that money. It's the same in how we run a country and how we fund a campaign. If I am funded by an outsider, particularly a company that has interests, financial interests in this country, who is accountable to their own shareholders to maximize return. The shareholder sitting in country X, they want a nice story about what you've done for the community around Zambia, but they want their dollar first. So the moment I take a significant amount of money from a non-Zambian, my obligation is already imbalanced against my Zambian, because I have to recognize that individual, whatever that recognition looks like. But it typically means there is something that we'll have to give that is going to be a trade-off against me serving the ordinary Zambian. So when we are asking our people to help us to fund this election, It is because we want to be held accountable primarily to the Zambian prison. It doesn't matter if you have given, and it's not money that's going to be given to us individually. We will not take that. We have pledged that. It is going into the banking system. We will publish the accounts. You will see how much we are getting. We won't know from whom it has come unless we really choose to dig and investigate these people. But what that does, whether you're a giver of 1 million, or you're a giver of 20,000, of 1 kwacha, or you're a giver of 20 kwacha, or 20,000 kwacha, what it will mean is I don't know who gave me how much. I am therefore obligated to the Zambians who gave us that money. And it is to break this cycle of us being beholden to people whose vested interest is divided between Zambia. I'm not saying investors are not interested. They are vested in Zambia, definitely. But their interests, their obligations, their priorities are divided between their shareholders, their primary levels of interest, their tax authorities over there, versus our people. You look at elections in other countries. People are not paid to vote for a president. You don't go around giving people things to incentivize them to vote for you. People give of their own. I know we want to say we are not America, we are not Europe, but does that mean we should not learn good lessons from those countries? Obama's campaign was funded by $1 people. People who believed in what he was saying took $1 from their pockets, went online onto the portal, MNR portal, there's a donate button, put it in there. He became president, first black president of the United States of America, second run as black president of the United States of America, because they believed in his message. And to this day, they still believe in the message that Obama gives. It still gives them hope. It still gives them courage. White, black, yellow, whatever, because we're as diversified as the US is. Yeah. They still look to the Obamas for that inspiration. So for that reason, it is to retain control. What we do, how we do it, for whom we do it. That's why we say MNR will be a government that is run for the people, by the people.
What would be your last word to the listeners?
My last word is believe in this country as a Zambian. Every time I encounter young people who say, I'm thinking about leaving, don't leave. Become part of the solution. And even if you leave and you are outside of the country or in the diaspora, Zambia is the country from which we hail. And let us leave this country, each in our little ways, better than we found it. And I believe we can do it. Nobody believed we could reach 1 million. Yes, we shortchanged ourselves on the timing, but nobody believed, even with all the time, that we could reach 1 million. We've exceeded 1 million. Join MNR. Join MNR, whether you're voting for MNR or you're not planning to vote for MNR. Join MNR because you believe in the future of this country. And the voice should not be Dolika Banda's voice and John Sangwa's voice. The voice should be our voice, jointly, collectively, as proud Zambians who hold our country in high esteem.
Ms. Dolika Banda, member of the Movement for National Renewal, I thank you so much for coming today. I know yours is a busy schedule all the time, but you made time for us and for our listeners out there, and we appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you all the best.
Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Well, to you, our listener, thank you very much for having followed our conversation, and for those that took time to participate. We are grateful, and more sincerely grateful to Isunga Radio, Tuta FM, ZFM, Spice Radio, that's Spice FM, Platinum Radio, Katete FM, and BMTV for having carried this program live on your various respected platforms. Otherwise, we have yet another edition, a Thursday edition coming up this Thursday. It's Youth Day. We can only hope that we make it to that day. And God willing, we will definitely be back. From all of us here, is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.